We're back. Oh, I know, bad intro. We're back. There we go. With another episode of Whitty Reviews. Of course, I was not here last week, and the reason why is what we're going to talk about tonight. A whole lot of action that happened last week, a whole lot of surprises, that's for sure. A lot of upsets, a lot of people that were sad, but mostly very happy, and a lot of questions for the very near future, especially leading into November. Drew is in the house. Let's go. Johnny Longfeather in here. Let's down goes Sid. Yeah, I know. We're going to talk about that too. Listen, can we all take a lap right now on Sid Mahant losing? I mean, Stewart owes me a drink. All right. Look, facts be said, I know a lot of people are giving me a metaphorical pat on the back for that whole Sid thing and the Stewart thing. All I can say is, more than happy to do it. That's all I can say. Because that was by far, yeah, Brad with the blue balls. Blue balls, Brad. All I can say is, like, that was the one race that I was really worried about out of all of them. I mean, I know we had the whole Senate thing, but like Avon is right next to me. And I told you guys like 2 weeks ago, like I am working on getting out of Marion County. And thinking about going to Avon. But like, if Sid is the state rep, no way am I going to live there. I'll go find somewhere else. The problem is now we have numbers. But now we have numbers. All right, but let's just talk about the primary. All right. You guys have already seen the numbers or seen who has won and lost, but I think the numbers are the most important part out of all of this. A1W. Yeah, A1 will sleep very good tonight. All right, so Blake Fichter and Travis Holdman, by far the most surprising one. Actually, no. Yeah, I'll rank them. Number one is Blake Fichter and Travis Holdman. The reason why is because Blake Fichter was the ultimate dark horse. He started very late. He was kind of pressured from 47 to jump into the Senate race. Then he gets in, then he gets out. And from what I heard, it was because he was getting a crazy amount of threats, not just to him, but his family as well. He goes, and then we didn't even know he was back in it until we saw him at the White House with 47. And then, like, leading into it, I went to Fort Wayne for the Libertarian Convention. And on the way back, I stopped through Bluffton for a mighty delicious tenderloin, I might add. And I did not see any Blake signs at all. I maybe saw like 2 or 3 Travis Holdman signs. Like, what the crap is going on right now? And then, like, leading into the election, there was I forgot which group was helping Blake out, but they were sending a bunch of mailers. And at the end of the day, like, Holdman lost. Holdman is number 3 in the Senate. You got Rod Bray, you got Chris Garton, and you got Travis Holdman. I think he's the majority leader. So, like, taking down the king of banking in the Senate was one of the biggest. I mean, definitely number one. Definitely number one. Now, James Buck losing to Tracy Powell. Tracy Powell was working his tail off. There were like a handful of people. I mean, only a handful of people won, but like, if I had to rank them, I mean, these are long-time state legislators, state senators that have been in office for like 20 plus years. I think when I saw like the Ballotpedia, Holdman still had like brown hair. Same thing with Jim Buck. So Tracy Powell beating Jim Buck, I mean, just a straight up ass whooping, made a statement. Now, unfortunately, our boy, Richard Bagsby, did not do well. Like, not well at all. And I don't think it had anything to do. Some people are saying, oh, well, it's because of the Trump endorsement. I don't think so. I'm going to give you my my honest opinion. I think the Republican voters in that area didn't want a black guy in office, especially when all the stuff was coming out about, like, you know, he used to sell drugs. He was basically like Byron Donald. I'm not saying, and I don't want you guys taking this the wrong way, because I wanted Bagsby to win. Hey, I was helping out Bagsby behind the scenes with trying to post stuff and all, but I'm just saying, like, I think if you are going to be in a tough race, the worst thing that you can do as have a minority Republican running for, trying to beat somebody. And we saw that happen over in Virginia, I think, that Jamaican lady that was running against that, I think it was Virginia, right? Somewhere over on the East Coast. I'm just saying, not saying that they're racist, but they're like, oh, it's some black guy and he has a history of peddling drugs or whatever it was. Like, that was kind of a turnoff. Now, if you had like a different white dude, maybe I don't know, maybe the numbers would be different, but those numbers are very weird. And some are saying it's like, well, Democrat voters hopped in that one. They did not hop in this one. My theory anyway, because from what I understood, there were 3 Democrats that were running in that same primary. So it's not like, hey, you know what? There's only one person, a Democrat. I'm going to switch over and help out Alting. And they had their own fight over there, which, we had another one of those in Marion County, and I'll show you again. By the way, just my theory, okay? Bagsby ran a really good race. He didn't get any help. I think he still needs to hang his head high on that and just stick with trying to help other people out. I'm just saying, like, you ran against Jenda, didn't win. Ran against Alting, didn't win. I think that's good enough. And the best you can do now is just try and get involved locally. Try and find somebody to run against Jenda and Alting in the next couple of years. He's still young. By the way, Bagsby is still very young, all right? I don't want this to be one of those things that, like, is the ultimate deterrent. Now, Spencer Dairy in Copenhagen is by far the most interesting one. You're talking about, well, leading in today, there was a 3. He needs to retire. Like, I didn't say it. Now, Dairy in Copenhagen is the most interesting because by the time Tuesday night rolled around, hey, that's not me, all right, John. There was, hold on, let me check my phone too. Oh man, okay, I did not write that. Latvia is more moderate. Yeah, and they're more moderate. It's a hard call, to be honest with you. I don't live in that area. We know it's moderate. And Dairy in Copenhagen, we know is moderate too, because I was supposed to go to a Chick-fil-A in Lafayette and ended up in Purdue. No big deal, okay? I'm just saying, like, that is near the Purdue area. As you can see, Dairy beat the crap out of Copenhagen in that particular district too. Moderate, of course. Everything else, Copenhagen did very well in, if not in the middle. Actually, yeah, that Lafayette is actually the where's that, Tippecanoe County? Yeah, Tippecanoe County is the only spot. Taylor didn't try to excuse his past and made it didn't. No, exactly, Brad. I mean, I completely agree with that, Brad. Wait, Ducky's in the chat? Oh, there's Ducky. Right on. Ducky in the chat. Hold on. Where do we get the private mod Collier Mara for endorsing Kiefer? She lost into me. Oh, I am. We're gonna talk about that too. I don't have the post up, but I am gonna talk about that. But yeah, Tippecanoe is very blue. We all know that. And that was going to be leaning towards Dairy. But the fact that there is a 3-vote difference is absolutely amazing right now. And I know it says 4, but I think we're down to like 2 or 3 right now. We're going to talk about here in a second. Gaskell won handedly against Catherine Callahan. I am betting. I did not look into the financials, but I'm willing to bet Callahan did not spend that much money. So 55-44. That is something that is to be proud of. Alexander just whooped the shit out of whoever this Nunley Critch is. I don't know anything about that person, but Jeff Ratz, obviously 70-30 against Jones. All right, Ruckelhaus, Delphin Ford. Now, this was a very interesting fight because you had 2 former senators and against a black woman who was an obvious Democrat, but she had voted enough Republican primaries, apparently, that she was able to win, that she was able to get on there. Well, yeah, Brad, probably because Gaskell was really fighting. I didn't look into his financials. It was not one that I thought that Catherine had a chance, but, she made it a fight. Good for them. Good for her. Is Gaskell not liked over there? Yeah, that would be cool, Justin. Me and Daniel Horowitz are mutuals on Twitter. I imagine that me and Daniel would have a lot to talk about. But anyway, so the Ruckelshaus Delphin Ford race was fascinating because you had two former senators against a black woman who was an obvious Democrat. And if you went through her social media, all she was talking about was like black power stuff. She was promoting Shackelford. She was promoting anything black. And that was going to be a really hard race against a moderate like Ruckelshaus. And I think, who was it? Forgot who was talking about it, but they were saying the same thing. Like Ruckelshaus would probably have the highest chance to win the general if he won the primary. Delph would have a much harder problem because a harder issue because he's way more conservative. And since Mike Delph was being helped by Mike Young, I was obviously a Delph find. Also, when I did like a little bit of research on Ruckelshaus, he is totally a moderate. I think his uncle was the very first EPA secretary too. So this guy's been in it for a very long time. He's got a legacy of people in politics. Double check that for me, by the way. I'm pretty sure his uncle, Ruckelshaus's uncle, was the very first EPA administrator. Have our own show, the Neurological. Oh, right on. All right, Justin George. Him and Aiden Marietta have their own show, the Neurologic Podcast by Aiden and Justin. We love doing things as a team too. Right on. Let's go. Also, oh yeah, real quick. I forgot. I messed up. Speaking of, May 29th, we will be having, or not we, but Chateau des Marhill Studio, the group name, they will be having a baseball get together. May 29th, 7:05, $12 tickets. All right. Big deal. John will be there. Lucy will be there. Tiffany will be there. Yours truly, Brad, state rep candidate, Donald Weingarten, and Indy Spanglish and others. So yeah, I'll be there. This needs to be updated for Indie Reporter, not Slick Witty. But anyway, make sure you go. I mean, I'm excited. I could definitely go. It's at 7, so I got plenty of time to get there. All right, so Ruckelshaus won, and then we ended up finding out that Delph has like blood cancer or something, and so it was really hard for him to do door knocking. Which, like, then why did you run? You know, good for him for running and all, but man, what would you do if you had won the primary? Because the general will get even more intense, and if you're that wore out, we need 25%. Where are you at right now with how many people have signed up? Because I'll promote the shit out of it if we need more. You got 2 with me. So anyway, is it just a money thing or is it a people thing? You need 12 more. So anyway, moving on. All right. So my favorite one was Juanita Albright. Tiffany Ditlevison. Did I spell that right? Put up a link. Yeah. Travis Hankins and Jan Kiefer. I did not even know that Jan Kiefer was on the roster. I did not even know to get to group rate we need 25 people, and we need 25. How many more people? We need 12 more people to sign up. All right. So we need 12 more people to sign up. Make sure that you sign up. Is it just a money thing or is it a people thing? That's what I'd like to know. All right, so Juanita Albright, who is Carlin Yoder's sister, she ended up winning the primary, which is a pretty big deal because Tiffany was endorsed by, who was it? Scott Fadness, who was the mayor of Fishers. Plus, like Tiffany is very establishment, was basically protecting Diego as well. Travis Hankins is that guy that did that YouTube video about wanting to date a black girl, something like that. Oh, Kyle Hupfer too. Yeah, thank you. So Kyle Hupfer, and didn't Kyle Hupfer hold a fundraiser for her too? And Scott Fadness are the 2 people that endorsed her. Pure establishment, by the way. Travis Hankins. And then Jan Kiefer. Now, what's crazy about Jan Kiefer is that she was endorsed. Yeah, great choice. You know what? I was all about Juanita Albright. There's some things that need to be patched up with her knowledge on things, but overall, great choice. I like it. Tiffany would have been a worse version of Kyle Walker, in my opinion. Same thing with Jan Kiefer. I think Jan Kiefer would have been worse than Tiffany. And then Tiffany would have been worse than Kyle Walker. Now, Juanita has a very hard general election because that area is pretty purple. So that being said, I would not be surprised if Juanita does not win. I want her to win, obviously, but it's going to be a hard election. She's going to, if Juanita wants to win, talk crap about the IEDC. That's all. And then talk about like making sure. I mean, Albright is a hospital person, a doctor, I think, right? And so she needs to hang on the hospitals, work on rural hospitals, something like that. The low hanging fruit, you know. All right, moving on from that, Greg Good. We all know. All right, this was the most obvious one. Wait a minute, I'm missing one. I knew I'm missing one. Yeah, there we go. I'm missing one. Trevor DeVry. This was number 2 on my. I can't believe that he beat the shit out of both Dernluck and Littawa. So Littawa was a paper candidate, an actual plant. I don't know from who, but then Dernluck was the incumbent. Here's the thing, one-termer. Now, when you add a one-term and you're running in a primary, you are obviously very exposed. And yeah, definitely abolish the IEDC. Funny how Micah has been quiet on that. So Trevor DeVry, he won handedly, 75-23 against Dernluck. An absolute ball crusher is what I say. That was number 2 in the surprising. Not the fact that DeVry won, but by how much he won. Now, same thing with Albright. He's going to have a very tough general because you're talking about Lake County, which is one of the most moderate, you know, if you take Marion County as the left armpit of Indiana, Lake County is the right armpit of Indiana. That is going to be a very tough. Dernluck barely won 4 years ago, so it'll be interesting what happens with this. James Starkey, he also beat Niemeyer, which was very interesting. Obviously, Niemeyer. I'm guessing Niemeyer is in Benton County. But same thing, he has a little bit of Lake and Newton and Jasper. Funny enough, Starkey winning in Bronze County. From what I understood, people in Lowell and Lake County did not like Niemeyer, and Niemeyer, longtime incumbent. He's got legacy from the last name. That was basically what was going to win against him. Brian Schmutzler, by the way, he wins against Linda Rogers. Very good for him. He is. You know how I put out that tweet the other day? Oh, Ben Schmeit. Oh, what was that guy's name? I forgot. The guy in CD1, the guy who was living in the RV. Yeah. Brian Schmutzler, I put out this tweet the other day that was like, hey, you know, watch out for those people that have a high ego after they win the primary, because those people are going to be the highest chance of bending the knee to establishment. Brian Schmutzler is my number 1 guy who will bend the knee the fastest against Linda Rogers. There's something about his aura that I just don't trust, and this isn't like some astrology, let's throw some rocks on the ground and see what happens. There's something about him, and my douchebag radar is spot on 99% of the time, and this guy just screams douchebag establishment. I'd be very curious of where he is on redistricting. Also, Parker, what the hell just happened? Where'd I go? All right, there we go. Messing around over there, getting some of that hanky panky over there. Yeah. Oh, Polly doesn't like Brian either. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know what it is. It's something that's like oozing out from him. I just don't trust. All right, I don't know what this guy's first name is, Parker, but he beat McKinley, which McKinley was a senator for like a month and a half during session because Andy Zaid, Jim Schnicke, thank you, Drew. Picks and describes with the arms stretched to his arms. Yeah, and he's flexing his arms, his forearms. Obviously camera trick. McKinley was the incumbent because Andy Zay dropped or left the Senate to become the IURC chair, and so there was a. And then what I heard was McKinley was an asshole to people, and so people were kind of hoping that Parker won. So Parker beat the incumbent. Not that there's had anything to do with redistricting, but it was pretty fascinating. I have no idea who that Hensley guy is, by the way. All right, so moving on from there, Greg Good. This one was the most obvious because Good was the ultimate moderate. Andy's trying to sound like JFK. Also has moves. I don't know how old Greg Good is, but I didn't even think a guy that old could have his moves as big as his. So, and a hand on the barrel. Hey, some people, the Matrix was coming after Whitty. I knew it. Hey, that's what happens when you're so based that the Matrix starts coming after you. The Smith bots start coming after you and attacking StreamYard. So Greg Good was the ultimate moderate. Also Todd Young, also ARI, very connected in the what I am calling the deep state establishment. So, and then you had the two Wilsons. Even if Alexandra Wilson was not on the ticket, I knew it was going to be a hard fight. But good on Brenda Wilson. She fought. And, it didn't help that Brenda Wilson had a picture with Greg Good basically speaking out against redistricting. And it's like, oh, that's my senator, blah, blah, blah. It was not a good look for Brenda Wilson. Also, she's kind of old. That I think the most douchebaggery thing was Greg Good getting his dead husband's family to endorse Greg Good. That was by far the biggest douchebag move I've ever seen in my life. An actual scumbag move. All right, one of the things that was making me happy was Jeff Ellington and the Christy Risk and Boucher thing. People wanted me to attack Boucher. Whereas, he's going to get third place. He has no chance of winning. I've never had any real problem with him. Kind of like a Seth MacFarlane looking dude. But overall, I don't have a problem with him. But the Christy Risk and Jeff Ellington, we knew that was going to be the top two. Christy Risk works for Micah. Jeff Ellington was kind of the guy that I was picking for. To know the band Heart. Yeah. So Christy Risk, if you guys remember, she sent me a message directly saying, hey, do you want to run for office again? And I sent it out to a couple of people. I'm like, this seems like a low-key threat. They're like, yeah, it definitely is, which is funny. But I didn't take anything to it. I never responded back. I honestly did not give a shit. But Jeff Ellington, and then we found out all this weird stuff about Christy Risk with the IADC, with the bank stuff. And by the way, I don't have anything against her at all. I was just pointing out how weird it was. Like, why is Elevate Ventures giving a fudge shop, I forgot how much it was, like $100,000 in some innovation grant or whatever frick it was. I didn't understand that. And I was going after Elevate, and it just happens to be that Christy Risk was involved with it. Turns out it was kind of a thing. It probably didn't help her chances when she directly messaged me. All right, and the obvious win, which was kind of a nail biter, not going to lie to you, was Michelle Davis and Kyle Walker. And that's because at the beginning, it was going back and forth for like an hour. Once everything started reporting, I'm like, there's no way that Davis is going to lose. How is this possible? And then at the end of it, Michelle Davis did end up winning 58-41. So the fact that Greg Walker wanted to retire, announced that he was retiring, and then said, you know what? I'm going to get back in the fight after this redistricting. I got the love back. That was just a very bad look on him. He should have. This is one of those times that I've said a bunch of times in the past, like there's a point where you just have to go out with your head hanging high, where you don't look like an idiot. I said that about Jamie. I'm hoping to God that Sarah Janice Brown does the same thing. Please don't run again for office. Try and find somebody else to run if that's like you, but actually has time and money. Yeah, she has a candy shop. Oh no, I think she got rid of the candy shop, but I'm not sure. I don't care. So, interesting thing on that one. And then Maxwell, no big deal. Looks like Alyssa Impink is going to become the Hunley's replacement. There is really no chance for anybody else to win. You go off Queen Natasha Sparks. Bullwinkle. All right, so what I was talking about before with Derry and Paula Copenhaver now has lead. Derry now holds the lead by only 2 votes. Now, Friday is when everything has to be certified. So, but if somebody will ask for a recount, whether it's Paula or Derry, that automatically extends their certification date for however long. And then who knows how long that will take and how much money it'll take. Mike Delph, hold on. I think I had the wrong one. Yeah, let me do this one first. So then, remember that Rokita and Jim Banks endorsed Darren Vogt. So Liz Brown won. Oh, wait a minute. I don't even have that one up, do I? So Liz Brown allegedly won right there, 23. No, that's not it. Wait, was it? That's not it. It should be, I don't know. Who cares? So Liz Brown won by less than 20 votes, allegedly. They are not certified yet, so we'll see what happens with that. But Rokita and Banks were endorsed Darren Vogt. Now, I will tell you what, there were a lot of people that did not like Darren Vogt after that town hall on WoWo with Kaylee Blacksby, or whatever her name is. And the 2 biggest reasons were the gender-neutral bathrooms and also his thoughts on IVF and surrogacy. Him, from what I understand, him basically saying, hey, it's okay if gay dudes have rent a room, because now we are seeing more and more gay dudes that are sexually abusing their babies that they get from surrogacy. And that, I think, was the nail in the coffin for Darren Vogt. The fact that Liz Brown got an endorsement from Trump is one thing. The Mike Braun endorsement, I don't think carried any real weight. But I think Darren Vogt, it always goes back to the devil that you know, right? So they were like, well, if Darren Vogt is this sketchy on surrogacy, IVF, and gender-neutral bathrooms, what's going to happen when he gets in office? Also, I did not like how many Indian donations that he was getting. So it did make me very worried on that. I'm not saying that that's why he lost, but I will definitely say that probably had something to do with it. There was just a lot of red flags coming from Darren, and it didn't look good. This, I think, does show a chink in the armor of the Banks and Rokita endorsement. I'm just saying, that's just my opinion, but we'll see if once they're certified. And even Jacob Stewart, he killed his campaign announcing his support surrogacy and IVF and by supporting gender-neutral bathrooms while on the school board. And here we go, Daniel Horowitz. I mean, it was competitive, but because he's well known in the community and has significance in supporting Biggs and Rokita, and that's basically what he was trying to hang his hat on. Was like, well, I got help from these 2 people, and therefore I should be the shoo-in. And also, listen, I talked about just like 2 weeks ago about that poll. And I said, I do not believe in polls at all. I think they're all fake and lame. And so I pointed out, I was like, oh, if we posted up that poll that Darren Vogt might have a really strong chance of winning. And I said, hey, you know what? I win either way. If the poll is wrong, I get to point out and say, yeah, polls are fake and gay. If he wins, I'm like, oh, look at that. The poll that I posted was right. No matter what, I win. Okay. Because that's all I do. So moving on from that. Oh yeah. I wanted to point this out too. Darren, we had this endorsement from Trump. Hold on. Let me disappear myself real quick. We had this endorsement from Trump talking about like, hey, Travis Holdman is at 46% of winning, but with the endorsement, he goes down to 29, and then Fichter goes up to 54. And Yeah, and Feichter ended up getting like way more than that, which I thought was hilarious. So there is, now that the primary is over, there's a lot that people are talking about. Mike Delph, he points out about the idea of open primaries has always troubled me, but only when 15 to 70% of the GOP turns out. It's clear there's a bigger problem. By the way, someone needs to teach Mike Delph about paragraphs, because this is just like, it feels like a run-on sentence, like a massive run-on sentence. I like Mike. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to talk shit about him, but you need something that's more pleasing to the eye. Someone needs to run his social media. Galvanize the grassroots. Yeah. Would love to do grassroots event with you and all that. Yeah, I mean, I'm always game for that. No bonk hits with Whitty. Shots with Whitty. So I'll break this down real quick. Why is there a low turnout? Well, in Marion County, it's been destroyed because of Natalie Goodwin. And the people that endorsed Natalie Goodwin and voted for Natalie Goodwin, this is on you. Also, the voter roll needs to be updated. He follows the style of Supreme Leader. Supreme Leader Delph. 3 times. The GOP is almost non-existent in Indianapolis organization. Yeah, because Natalie Goodwin killed it. I told you guys a year ago, Natalie Goodwin is going to be worse than Elsner. And I'm right again. If you guys just follow me on what I say of how to do things, you'll win every time. For the most part, you'll at least be right. But yeah, Mike Delph, the problem is when you have not been around, when you're around so much evil, you see things in a different light and you see how real things are. And Delph has not seen enough evil. That's all I'm saying. So going back to Senate District 31 with Albright and everything, what Jan Kiefer did really good in Marion County, like beat the tracks off of everybody. 35% from Jan Kiefer on that side, 784 votes. Now, I have a theory, and I looked at her campaign report. She raised $100,000. She filed in February 21st, I think, or February 12th, and she was able to raise over $100,000, spent over $50,000. But if you look at I have no idea who some of these people are that were donating to her, but Bullhorn Communications was on one of her expenditures. So my theory is that Natalie was trying to install Jan as the replacement of Tiffany. That would be my guess. Or Jan is going to run for Lawrence mayor because she's in Lawrence, and right now the GOP has nobody to run for Lawrence mayor. And since Deb Whitfield blows, and Allie Brown is most likely going to run for Lawrence mayor next year, should be an interesting battle. So we talk about the closed primaries. Dave Bangert, who I was told is nothing but an old school shit lib. He messaged something on Facebook about closing primaries, and some lady's like, I don't want to be in a story, but I and some friends have talked to support Derry against a MAGA challenger for voting against redistricting. Will I vote for him, the general? No. I might know someone. I'll see if they will. So we have basically confirmation that Democrats were moving over to Derry to try and get Copenhagen to lose. And I've been saying that forever, by the way. I saw it in my primary back in 23 that Democrats were voting for that used tire, Julie Calvert-Watts. We see it a lot. When you look at the voter rolls, when you're actually able to see him and who voted for it, and you go back into history, a lot of these people are Democrat voters that are trying to play spoilmaker. That's basically what happened with my primary back in 23. There were a bunch of Democrat voters that voted for Julie Calvert-Watts. All right, so now the question is, here's the big question. Now, if these these primary challengers that beat the incumbents become senators that win their general election, what are the chances that they vote out Rod Bray for leadership? And now they install Chris Garton. What is the draw to Brittany and Christina? There were some talks the other day on the rinse I saw about, hey, you know what? He votes for 95% of the same thing as Rod Bray does. You're replacing the old one with the new one, but they're the same thing. And that's just a very bad argument. And I'll tell you why. Let me break it apart in three different ways, especially in goo goo gaga terms. If you are dating somebody or going on a date with somebody, you agree with 95% of the things, right? But then you say, you know what, weed is gay. Probably, and then you're pro weed. Probably not going to agree with that person. Or, hey, you know what? I think there should be anytime abortion. But then you're like, no, I don't think there should be anytime abortion. That's pretty different. All right. So, but 95% of the things you agree on, right? When you are a Republican and you are in a Republican caucus, in a Republican majority, most of the time you are going to vote together 95% of the time. However, when you have someone like Chris Garton, you are expecting somebody you are expecting somebody who's probably going to vote differently. And I want to give you two examples. These are the ones that just popped out in front of my head. And if I was on the show, I wouldn't be able to just nail everybody to the wall. So this was the amendment from Mike Young for HB 1200. It would ban asylees, refugees, and those who can't speak English from getting a CDL. Only 5 Republicans voted yes on it. Mike Young, Jim Tomes, Greg Good, Mike Baskell, and Chris Garton. You know who voted against it? Rod Bray. Oop, there we go. Rod Bray. Also, when about the Bears Stadium, SB 27, guess who voted against that? Chris Garton. These are the differences from saying, oh, that person is the same thing compared to somebody like yours truly who watches most, if not all, of the IGA session, the committee meetings, the floor meetings, the votes on the amendments, by the way. I want to point this out with everybody else, too. I want to add one more thing. The cherry on top is what I would call it. Andrew Ireland will vote with the Republican caucus 95% of the time, right? Let's just say 93% of the time. Does that mean that Andrew Ireland is the same as Bob Boehning? Does that mean Andrew Ireland is the same as Todd Houston or Craig Haggard? Here we go again. Ireland voted against the Bears Stadium as well. These are the most important votes that everybody has to get. We're having a wedding? No. I'm not calling anybody out. I want to make sure that we all understand that Chris Garton is not Rod Bray. Now, with that being said, does that mean Chris Garton could eventually morph in the Rod Bray? We don't know. We don't know. That's why we have to be on top of everybody and point everything out. A lot of these legislators that started off good eventually morphed into something bad. That was like the thing that I heard the most leading into the primary was, well, you know what? Greg Walker was pretty okay with this. Oh, Jim Buck was pretty conservative, but we don't know. Same thing with, insert each legislator. But because that is what happens when you are soaked around so much evil, eventually you transform into a douchebag. That's why it's very, very important to have a handler to make those people surround grassroots-based people. Because here's the extra point too. When there is a legislator who knows that we like him, but then he keeps getting bashed by, I don't know, pundits or whatever, and just like, all right, well, I will give an example as Mike Braun. So Mike Braun's getting bashed by the grassroots. He's getting bashed by the pundits. So he's like, well, who's going to not bash me? Well, probably the establishment assholes. And he eventually starts becoming an establishment asshole. With that being said, you have to be careful that, Andrew Ireland is based. Votes like this, what kills common sense legislation. Yeah, not much. I know. Speedy is based. I know. Hey, Mike Speedy has my sword, all right? This is why I hope Mike Speedy runs against Jefferson Shreve in the primary in 2028. I will not only door knock for him, but I will shill like no other on Indie Reporter. And it's votes like this that separate the men from the boys, that separate the establishment from the grassroots, to separate the based versus the douchebags. There are votes like this: the 1200 Amendment, the SB 27, the let's call it concealed carry. All right, those are the based votes. You can agree with everything else, but when the votes matter, they matter. Funny enough that Democrats bitch about giving billionaires a bunch of money, but then they vote on giving billionaires a sports stadium. Just the biggest hypocrites ever, by the way. All right, so I want to throw one more funny thing is Abdul Hakim Shabazz. He posted back in February saying, no, Indiana's not raising your taxes to build a stadium. No general fund dollars, no school money, no property tax grab, no road funds. Revenue from the project pays for the project. Facts equal panic. That's really funny because Indianapolis Chronicle, they say a variety of local tax increases will be levied to pay the bonds. This is what happens when you're a dipshit boomer. No more. And I've been saying this for a long time. Kendall is being anchored right now by asshole boomers like Jim Merritt and dipshit pundits like Abdul Hakim Shabazz. If Kendall wants to elevate himself into the next level, he will take those two anchors off of him. With that being said, I have been getting a ton of messages. Oh, wait a minute. Well, one last thing. The whole main of the show. We won, boys. Sid Mahant lost against Stewart. Now, I will tell you right now, I am not a fan of Greg Stewart. Absolutely not, all right? I am not shilling for Greg Stewart at all. If you guys noticed, I never said to, maybe I did, maybe once or twice, but overall, I never said to vote for Stewart. I said don't vote for Sid Mahant. All right, a vote for Sid Mahant is a vote for losing A1. And let the record show that Mahant had 24%, let's call it 25% of the vote compared to Greg Stewart's 75%. Sorry, Sid, nobody wants you, my friend. Sar, no one wants you in A1, Sar. Deport. Fucking deport. No matter how much of your loser signs or how much you pissed off A1 officials and pissed off playing field officials, no matter how much you were how much the people were being harassed, the voters were being harassed by your people, no special power. You still lost. Come to find out that people don't want to vote in a guy that wants to lower the minimum requirement to get an Indiana CDL. Turns out people don't want to vote for a guy that wants to speedrun citizenships. Turns out no Republican wants to vote for a Republican that donates to Democrats. Kind of weird, huh? And can't follow the simple fucking rules of election integrity. By the way, I don't expect anything to happen from that prosecutor in Hendricks County. That would be really funny, though. Moving on. All right, so I think Mike Bohachik, speaking of weed, special power, Mike Bohachik, the same guy. This is for all you weed bros out there. This is who your leader is now. Is Mike Bohachik. All you guys that are wanting to legalize weed, here is the face of legalized weed. Some asshole state senator over in LaPorte County that was like, you know what sounds like a great idea. Egg rolls and boozing, all right. And then what was his blood alcohol level? Wasn't it like 3 times the legal limit or something? But he did plead guilty. Remember, operating a vehicle with an ACE of 0.15 or higher, and now he's writing a bill to legalize the electric lettuce. That's right. He wants to legalize the wacky tobacco. That's your poster boy, by the way, along with Jim Lucas. Don't forget that your poster boy for legalizing weed, Mr. Perfect himself, 0.283. Dude, I couldn't even get to 0.283. Is that the top of the cherry pot or cherry of the douchebaggery is that Hannah News last year reported that Mike Bohachik and his wife petitioned guardianship. Their 25-year-old petitioned from his first marriage, I think, petitioned for a guardianship of her 14-year-old sister, I think the one with Down syndrome, because Michael and Melissa Bohachik were allegedly becoming increasingly absent from the home due to changing circumstances regarding business. But you know what? You know what he has time for? Boozing and driving and get some sweet panda, some of that teriyaki, and trying to write a bill for legalizing weed. By the way, for all the weed bros out there, another 15 million to foreign countries. How's that sound? For all the weed bros out there that are saying, hey, this will pay for this, what is the history of our government spending our money wisely? That's what I would love to know. TikTok. How much money went to Elevate Ventures or that True Tech or Iron Nation or any of these other startups? What has been the return so far? More money to the IEDC. That's it. More money to the IEDC. All right, moving on. Listen, I have been getting a lot of messages about Rob Kendall lately, and I'm here to tell you it's so funny watching him because it is the roller coaster of Kendall is what it is. So he put out this tweet. I gotta say, this is just bad. I love Kendall. Kendall is one of my favorite people because you never know what he's going to bring. You don't know what mood he's going to be on. And sometimes it's watching Jesse Brown tweets, to be honest with you. It's just more entertaining than anything. All right, so he's hoping that baby Birch Bai, he would follow through with his promise to audit the office and let the public know what Diego's been doing and what he's been doing with the last 4 years. That will never happen, okay? Not only will it not only happen, but also ratioed Kendall with that post. I hate to break it to you, but Bo Bai, the same guy that got money from Apollo Management, the same Apollo Management that has ties to Jeffrey Epstein, are you really expecting him to audit it and call it Diego? Yeah, okay. That will never happen. All right, so another thing that also happened was, moment of hope is right. All right, let's finish this off real quick about the property tax stuff. SEA 1. I love SEA 1 because it makes all the local government cry. So there's a website that has to do with it called the Indiana Coalition for Public Education, showing which school district will lose X amount of money. So then there was a report with this, so like Adams County. I want to go IPS real quick because I want to show you guys real quick how ridiculous it is. So they are saying IPS will lose almost $14 million over 3 years. I do not give a damn. And then there was a report that say IPS cut $17 million from the central office and announced layoffs. And one of the reasons why is because there not enough people or not enough kids are going to IPS, which is fine. I don't care. Screw them. At the same time, their superintendent, Alicia Johnson, has no problem making almost $300,000 a year last year. Started off in 2019 making $227,000 up into 2025. What is 6 years later? She's probably well over 300 now. We'll see next year. Making almost $300,000 a year. Funny how that happens, right? Hey, we got $17 million we got to worry about, but you know whose costs keep going up? Administrators. Don't really care about that. I will point out though that the non-English speaking program over in IPS, they are at $5.2 million for the non-English speaking program. So there's some money that's being wasted for sure. Oh, here it is right here. Non-English speaking program from IPS is it was at $4.7 million. $5.2 million this year, and then next year it'll be at almost $5.7 million. Yeah, Kendall really did have a moment of hope. We all had a moment of hope, but I understand. Okay, that's why I still love Kendall, because him and then his producer still have to put food on the table from the sponsors. Hey, Piper, am I right? Greg Good, am I right? So he's limited on the things that he can say. We all had hope, but that's what happens with life. What's Awan at? I want to see what Awan's at real quick. Avon. Hold on. Then we'll end it here. Avon community. All right. $725,000 last year. $825,000 this year. And then next year, over $900,000 that they will have to spend on non-English speaking programs. Remember, these are kids that can't speak English or speak English well. That's how much money, our money, that is going to. I think, what was it, $52 million? Is that what it was? Something like that. Non-English speaking. Oh, yeah. Yeah. $52 million next year. The taxpayers will be spending on non-English speaking programs. That's bananas, right? All right. With that being said, that's all. I don't know who's going to be on mouthwash, by the way. But make sure we need 12 more people. Everybody sign up. Email mouthwashtalkshow@gmail.com. Sign up so we can get the 12, so everybody can be there. This will be updated, by the way, to take away Slick Whitty and put an indie reporter, and we'll also move, we'll replace Lucy Britton and we have to put a hierarchy to this, right? So it'll be John Schmitz, indie reporter, then everybody else. I can come comment on mouthwash. That's fine. I mean, I go to the bathroom first, and then I will. I'll hop in. I don't know who's going to be on the show, but I'll hop in the chat, as they say. All right. With that being said, you guys have a good night. Stay warm. Stay safe. Saturday show at 8:00. Plenty to talk about, especially with all this energy stuff going on. Dude, the documents are bananas. All right. The things that they have recommended is crazy. Everything's a giant scam. And I'm going to point it all out on Saturday's show. Come back on Saturday. Watch Mouthwash. Sign up for Tickies. You guys have a good night. Stay warm, stay safe, stay dry. Be like me, because I'm awesome. Love you guys. Bye.